Hey everybody, welcome back to the Tribe of Nerds. Eric, Jonathan, Mike, and I are back for Survivor 1 through 50, talking about Survivor 48. My enemies are plotting. We're going to be plotting about all the characters on Survivor 48, talking about everything from fried chicken and waffles to milk and everything in between. So, yeah, why did you guys want to discuss Survivor 48? Jonathan, you want to go first?
Sure, yeah, I'll go first. I think we're getting at this point with 48, like when we got to this, when it ended up releasing, we all kind of knew that like 50 was like rearing its ugly head
Yeah.
around the corner, and we all knew that like this season was going to be airing, or it would be airing just in the nick of time for the contestants to go off to go film 50 and whatnot. But I think a big part of 48's identity was how like this is like the honor and integrity
Yeah.
season. Like I don't think I've ever seen a season of Survivor where it's like we've seen characters in individual seasons be like, yeah, like I'm the hero, I'm Mr. or Mrs. Honor and Integrity, but they usually get ganged up by like a whole cast of villains, which
Right.
makes like the story more compelling. But this is like the season where like it's the opposite, where there's like maybe like one or two or three villains, and then like it's a whole season of heroes, and then or honor integrity based players.
Right.
And I don't think I've ever seen a season like that, and so I figured it'd be interesting to dissect and talk about for the most
Yeah,
part.
absolutely. I mean, like I feel like there's some seasons as well that have that of like honor and integrity. Like I'm thinking Palau has a bit of that with Tom Westman. There's probably a couple other ones that I could go back and think about, but it makes it pretty interesting of like people are thinking that way, but then you still have people that are absolutely thinking about the game and kind of using the honor and integrity as like
Mm-hmm.
a smoke screen, a cover for
Mm-hmm.
them actually playing the game.
Mm-hmm.
Mike, why did you want to discuss Survivor 48?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, Kyle was probably one of the most fun winners of the new era for me. I think that he was one that I rooted for. He was one that I was super behind through most of the season. And then just that whole relationship with Kamilla and like watching them just kind of like manipulate the end. Despite the honor and integrity of the season, I think it was just fun to watch them kind of like use that to their advantage to get to the end. So just that pairing, and knowing full well that like we're trying to see like who's going to end up making it to 50 and like hoping that some of these characters end up on there. I think Joe is great. I really did root for Joe in the season. I just think that Kyle and Camilla's whole way of manipulating the end game I thought was just really fun to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. They had a really genius way of going about it. I'm sure we'll get into all the specifics of their game, as well as Joe's. And yeah, I'll bring up how Survivor 50 factored in, but I'll let Eric go. Eric, why did you want to discuss Survivor 48?
First and foremost, it's a cast full of players that I enjoy watching. Like I don't mind these players on my TV. Yes, not the most strategic season, but there's still a strategy in this, and you have a really satisfying winner. It's not really a hard rewatch, and I think rewatching it again, yeah, I think it kind of holds true. And you have these kind of seasons with Survivor where maybe not the most strategic, but you have people that you don't mind being on your TV for 13 episodes, 14 episodes. So
Yeah, because I've had people tell me like this is not a good season of Survivor and it's hard to watch, and then I rewatched it and then I'm like, this still holds up on the rewatch and even on the initial watch. Like Kevin and I, when we were covering this season live, neither of us thought this season was as bad as people were saying. So, but again, it's I guess it's easier to connect to the characters for me, and there's other seasons that are like I guess more predictable and you can't really connect to the characters. So. I also wanted to bring up, because you guys have brought up Survivor 50. This is where the fan voting started during 48. So we knew something was coming. We were getting to vote. The players themselves that are on 50 got to vote in this fan voting, as was brought up in the last episode of 50 that certain players voted for certain things. So I find that really, really interesting. because the only other time that's really happened was the second chance voting during Worlds Apart. So but yeah, let's get into the specifics of the season. So first off, we got our alternates, which we got one. So Sophie Segretti from 49 was an alternate for 48. So that's really interesting. And funny enough, again, another person that ends up on the yellow tribe, which is then full of like half alternates from a season. And then, you know, red tribe had Sage, and Sage was an alternate. So it's really, really interesting. And so yeah, let's get into the premiere itself. I mean, what are your guys' thoughts, general thoughts on the cast itself?
Interesting.
So yeah, we have Siva, Vula, and Logi.
Yeah.
Tribes, yeah.
Let's see. I thought it was an okay cast for the most part. I didn't think I didn't exactly like know what I was getting myself into with this season for the most part, because of the whole honor and integrity based theme that would eventually like revolve around it. But cast wise, I thought it was pretty interesting for the most part, because you can kind of tell who they're focusing on, who they want you to focus on, who are going to be the standouts, who are going to be the big characters, who's going to be the preemptive disaster tribe, if you will, in this. Whole other thoughts about that later, but like other than that, it was a very bright cast for the most part, where I felt like usually you would have like a weird ratio of characters that are not Debbie Downers, but are like, oh, they're clearly like the villainous characters, and they outnumber like the little bright lights that are like in the cast and whatnot. But this season just seemed for the most part that everybody was on the same page of bringing like really positive energy. Sometimes to a nauseating effect, but like other than that, like it was everyone's bringing good vibes for the most part, except for one tribe that's just going downhill. Going downhill.
Yeah, poor Vula. Yeah, I was gonna say to that, I mean, like Logi tribe, I pretty much like everybody on that one tribe, and then you know I like other people from the other two tribes as well. But like Logi, for example, is like the most interesting characters for the most part, and like you have Joe and Eva's bond. Thomas and Bianco are two people that if they had lasted longer, I think were going to be really interesting. Star, of course, is a massive character. And then who am I missing? Shauhin, yeah, and Shauhin's a great character. So yeah.
I thought it was like a wide range of different types of characters, a little bit bigger physique wise than we're typically used to in New Era. But there was a lot of people that were a wide range of strategic and more the loyal based. So yeah.
Yeah. Mike, any thoughts on the cast?
Yeah, I was gonna say something similar to Eric. Just looking at the cast right up front, they're a little bit more of like the kind of like chomping at the bit to do more of the physical stuff. I thought it was a much more physical cast, which was fun to watch. But I think that's where potentially we lose a little bit of the strategic nature of the gameplay, where we don't have these kind of like more artsy thinkers in the and not to say that you know none of these guys are strategic, but I think we did have more of the athletic type play here. So it was more fun to kind of watch the challenges, I think, in this season, which was kind of nice, a little bit of a nice change, because I think we had a couple of seasons where it was kind of like painful to watch some of the early on challenges for some of these tribes. But this season it was more fun to kind of watch the challenges, I felt.
I agree with that. Yeah. Yeah, and I will say with the cast, I mean, also having talked to some of them, like Star, for example, and Justin, like it's fun to kind of get to know them outside the game too, and kind of get more of their perspectives, because like Star and Justin, I don't think we really got their perspectives as much, because Justin didn't last that long, unfortunately, and Star did not get shown in the edit for whatever reason, even though she was an amazing character. So but yeah, let's get into what happens. So right off the bat, we get the opening challenge, and the biggest thing that happens here is Kevin hurts his shoulder, which I thought I remembered him doing something else to hurt his shoulder, but he just like he does the mud crawl and comes out and just hurts his shoulder from that, and I thought that was interesting. because like I feel really bad because Kevin was basically meant to be like the physical beast of the Vula tribe to match up with like David and Joe, and then he gets hurt immediately, and I think it impacts his entire game because I believe Justin can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe he said that he would have kept Kevin in the game had Kevin not had the hurt shoulder. So
Kevin's a real big fan of Stephanie LaGrossa, apparently.
Shoulder
and him and Daniel Strunk.
Yeah.
I think remember like watching that moment and being like, oh, this is potentially what damages Kevin's game, because his usefulness kind of becomes a little bit less than, because again, you've got a lot of really strong physical players in this season, and so when you have your beast on your tribe kind of go down, it's unfortunate. And I think that's Kevin, I think, was in a good spot had he not been a liability.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. So Kevin gets hurt. Then we are gonna get immediately. We're also gonna get like Cedric struggling in a challenge, which is gonna be a huge thing with Cedric in this game, that he kind of just struggles with every single aspect. Poor Cedric. We'll talk about Cedric more as we go. But then we get Kevin and Kyle going on that first journey for the supplies, and this is where we get Kyle with his first big winner moment of breaking open the jar of water and then helping Kevin pour the water and finish the task. So I thought that was really, really good. And not a lot of people would like help their opponent in that type of challenge, even if they accidentally broke their challenge. So
that kind of shows the kind of person that Kyle is like throughout the season. It's just like a foreshadowing of what's to come.
Yeah, he's like, wait, you mean I can be nice and go get what I want?
Right.
Oh, great. And he's really good at that, apparently.
I think that's what was really fun to kind of watch from the very beginning, is like, I want this guy to win. Like, I want him to do well because of what he does in the very beginning of the season. And so it was just this moment of just like, I want him to win. And then you're almost like, I know he's not going to win because he's just too nice. He's too like, he can't help another tribe. That's silly. But you want him to win and you root for him throughout the rest of the season, I think, because of this moment.
Yeah. And I definitely thought that this immediate bond between him and Kevin might factor in later. It obviously does not because of Vula losing and Kevin being in the state he is in. But I honestly thought that could come into play later. But I think it's definitely just to show, like, again, like you guys said, how nice of a guy Kyle is and how he's really good at connecting with people. So and then over on Loggy, we get Eva and Joe bonding, which is going to set up the moment in a few episodes. And so immediately, like something big is going to come out of this bond that they have, with Eva telling Joe she has autism and Joe being like, I have her, like I'm with her all the way through. And so I think it's a really heartwarming moment. And obviously, like we're going to see where it leads, and we'll talk about that in a few episodes. But
I mean, what do you guys think? Like, say Eva's not on this tribe and Joe's there with Shauhin and Thomas. Like, do you think Joe's game plays out a little differently, or do you think it kind of still mirrors this loyalty? Because that meeting originally between him and Eva basically kind of defines what's to come in this season.
Yeah.
Sort of.
I think it affects Shauhin's game more than it does Joe's game, because I think Shauhin ends up locked in with this duo that is so diehard, like wholesome, that Shauhin can't really play the game that Shauhin, I think, was meant to play. Whereas if Eva wasn't there and Thomas ends up surviving somehow, I think Thomas and Shauhin end up creating a little bit more of a strategic mastermind game, kind of playing Joe as a shield, and Joe kind of goes out, I think, mid merge as kind of a threat. So
I agree.
That's what I see happening. But
yeah, I see that too. I think like with Shauhin, I think the fact like I think he wanted to work with Thomas and Bianca, and I feel like because the California Girls gets broken apart by Kyle, Thomas gets voted out. You know, Shauhin's like audibly like no, because Thomas was someone he really wanted to work with. And Bianca gets voted out, and so Shauhin's kind of is forced to work with Joe and Eva the rest of the game. So I agree with that completely. So then we get Saye on the Vula tribe, and I think Saye is a huge character for the first half of the season. I mean, she is going to be our major antagonist. She is going to be the one that's causing a lot of the drama at the Vula camp and on the swap tribe. And I think Kevin and I talked about on when we were covering it live of like Saye is a huge part of this season, and it is good that she's here to be sort of like that villainous figure. Like Rome was that for 47, and like Saye is basically like that Rome type character for this season.
She definitely
Go ahead, Joe.
Or I was just gonna say, like, she definitely had like a hand in like, you know, sinking her own tribe for the most part. It's like I don't know, like especially when you're on like a tribe of 6 and you have like 2 people like her and Mary going at it, but they keep surviving and everyone else keeps getting the bullet and getting voted out because of these 2 people's rivalry or, you know, or conflict they're having. And that's just, I feel like that's, if you're one of those 2 players, you're totally fine because it's like, yeah, I'm going to go after you. But it's like, if everyone else around me is getting taken out, I don't want to be one of those people that's getting the stray bullet in this conflict between Saye and Mary. But like, she's definitely a character that like was bringing, and she was in control too. It's like, what do you do? Well, you just hope that you do not catch the stray bullet and then you get like voted out early because of it, kind of thing.
Right. Eric, what were you going to say?
I was gonna say, like, I'd love to see Saye playing maybe like 5 or 6 years after she's like got a little bit older, could kind of keep her emotions in check a little bit more. Because I think she had kind of the right idea of how to play this game. She just kind of got too caught up in her emotions at times, especially with Mary and Cedric. Yeah, I would love to see her later on, but I think her emotion kind of got the better of her at the end of the day. So.
Yeah. Do you guys remember? I think Saye was in contention in like the rumored cast lists for 50 at one point. Like I remember that happening pretty vividly. I'm like, oh, Saye's coming back, like, which was pretty crazy. I mean, I know we've had like, you know, Boston Rob was famously a pre-jury boot in All Stars, so like it wouldn't be out of the question for a pre-jury boot to be back on so soon. But yeah, I mean, did you guys hear about that?
No, I would have probably laughed. I probably would have been like, "Are you serious?" I was like, "So we got jokes now." Like we're in joke land. I don't think I would be able. I did not hear that. Remember, granted, if you play Survivor, and it's like in any capacity, like if you get the call to go back, then I think most people would be like, "Hell yeah!" Oh, especially if you only played one time and you made like enough of an impact to get to warrant a second call, then. For sure, if I was Saye, I'd be like, oh yeah, absolutely, I would do it. But like, but being like a objective or whatever word it's objective or subjective fan, from looking inwards, being like, what? Like she's getting the call, she's in the consideration. There's no way. But like, if it happened, it happened. So
yeah.
I think what I liked about her is that she was very scrappy, and I feel like she, you know, when she was backed into a corner, she played the game, and I think it was fun to watch that kind of scrappiness play out, because you have this season of like really nice people and like fun people to watch, and like you aren't really like rooting against anybody. And I don't think that was really true of Saye either. You weren't really rooting against her. You just like, you kind of admired her ability to just kind of like get out of these little corners she ended up in. So for me, like, I do think that she could have lasted a bit longer. I think that had she not found herself in those corners like so early, I think again, a couple years later, a few seasons from now, I think maybe she could make it work. But her scrappiness was fun to watch. Like I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I also wonder like how being on a disaster tribe impacted how long she could stay in the game as well, because I mean, unfortunately, Survivor loves setting up one tribe for failure.
Yeah, they can't help themselves.
Yeah. Very unfortunate.
Well, again, I think Kevin's injury, I think, is what created the disaster tribe.
Right.
I think that's the dilemma, right? Is like
Yeah.
editing wise, it like they're definitely gonna like hone in on that tribe.
Mhm.
But I don't know if they were necessarily set up as the disaster tribe, because I
Yeah.
think Kevin could have easily helped them be more successful. He just injured himself so early.
I always thought he got voted out for a different reason besides being injured. I thought it was more of just like
He was a little. He wasn't he like making deals and like
I thought that was
being a
what it
little
was.
too
He
much.
was making side deals. I believe I've heard Justin say somewhere that he had said that they also just voted him out because of his shoulder. But like you know, on the show it was portrayed. I do remember like they're like Kevin's cutting all these deals with multiple people.
Oh
So
yeah, and that's what I thought, because I remember him getting hurt and then being like, "Oh, it's kind of a big deal." I was like, "Oh no, it's not a big deal anymore." Okay, like we move on from it, and then he gets from the edit was like he gets voted out because of these side deals. Whether
Right,
like
yeah.
in reality they actually voted him out because he was hurt, which you could say like, okay, well now they just voted out like their strongest person physically, and now that could or maybe is a potential thing that caused them to go down this disaster tribe route, and they were like basically having to eat each other, and like nobody has any votes or anything like that, and there's this civil war between Mary and like Saye, and everyone's getting stuck in the corners and stuff like that, and then it's just like a tough situation on Vula.
yeah. So then Vula is gonna lose the first challenge. They are gonna vote out Stephanie. Just didn't seem like she fit in at all. So you know, Mary is like her one ally that does try to save her. So we do set up like Mary is this like also really scrappy underdog that will end up battling her way through half the season. And so I like Mary as well. I think on other seasons Mary would be even more fun to watch play.
Yeah, I think Mary did not get very lucky with this first tribe of hers, and
No.
luckily she gets footing later in the game. But I could only imagine how she would do in a season where she actually had a somewhat good tribe to start with. So
yeah, for sure. So yes, Stephanie goes, and then as we said, we will lose Kevin as well. Also that second immunity challenge where like Kevin and Cedric are struggling to balance the ball, like Cedric keeps falling. You got the very funny awkward dive from Kevin into the water.
Yeah, that was like that was the painful challenge. That was the one challenge that I was like, this is not fun.
Yeah, and we also do have Cedric here that he tells Saye to play her idol because she gets the idol. We should talk about these puzzle locks because it's very, very interesting. I actually like this new method of getting an idol that you have to solve these puzzle locks, and they're all like, you know, the same letters, but they all have 3 different words. So I honestly like this method. So Saye's gonna get it. Eva's then gonna get it later because Star lets her have it, and then Kamilla's gonna help Kyle get his. So I mean, what are your guys' thoughts on these puzzle locks?
You just get some really funny moments like Thomas and Shauhin talking about the little circle that he has, and Thomas just suggests, just lose it, Shauhin. She'll never figure it out. Like, you just get these like really hilarious moments, or people just don't pick the right word. The fact that Star just couldn't figure it out is really funny. Yeah, I enjoyed everything about it.
Yeah.
I think Star's own self-awareness and some of that too was interesting to watch because she was such a background character, and I think this was also where we were set up that Star was not going to be like a witting edit. It was like this is the character that we're gonna watch and we're just gonna have fun with. But like just like her own self-awareness of that, I thought was really interesting too. Like I'm not gonna be able to do this.
Yeah. I love because we also get like when Thomas is like telling Shauhin like let's throw away the disc, and like Then you get like Thomas and Bianca plotting to split up Joe and Eva. You have Thomas like giving this really evil laugh in the confessional. Thomas, we missed getting more Thomas. I think Thomas should be someone that comes back eventually for like a second.
I hope Survivor does the right thing. I mean, this guy was just so entertaining. The episodes he was in, it's really unfortunate him getting off early.
It seemed like that was the case with a couple people from this season, where it was just like, oh, like maybe if we could see them in different circumstances, they would have shined better.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, let's get to this historic tribal council now for the Vula tribe going again. And this is where Mary is going to end up playing her shot in the dark successfully. We also see that Justin goes on the journey, and him and Kamilla and Bianca, they have to play a game of Yahtzee, and they have no choice, which I think sucks. I think they should at least get a choice of whether or not they want to play in this. And so Justin loses his vote, isn't going to tell Cedric because he doesn't want to freak Cedric out. And we're going to get to the vote. Mary's shot in the dark is successful, and that ends up in a double tie between Saye and Justin, where Cedric is going to decide to end up switching his vote to Justin. I mean, what are your guys' thoughts on this tribal and Cedric voting for all of his tribe members in 3 episodes?
Get fucked. Or like a Vula perspective. Like, I mean, like, this is what I was talking about with like the culminating of like Saye and Mary just like constantly going after each other, and like everyone else on the tribe catching the bullet and being like, these two are constantly safe, and I'm like, we're the ones that have to like reap the repercussions or the fallout of this personal war kind of thing. And I was like, damn. That's all I said. I was like, just damn. And then Cedric is like, you two gotta squash it. Bye, Justin. I'll see you at your restaurant. And I'm like, thanks, Cedric. Like, thanks. Like,
where he's it's just crazy. Like, Cedric's like, you two better play nice. It's like, and then they end up not playing nice.
What? I don't know. So pissed.
It's like the dad with 2 children where he's like, okay, guys, we're gonna go to Disneyland now, even though you guys have literally been a pain in my ass this entire time. We're gonna still go on this vacation.
Yeah, we're still gonna do this. Yeah.
Justin's smart for not telling Cedric he didn't have a vote, because Cedric will vote you out. We'll get to that later. But like, I don't understand what Cedric's doing at the tribal council. Like, you're with Justin the entire time. Like, he is probably stronger in the season if, Saye goes. And to what Mike was saying a couple minutes ago, like, this is where one of the most impressive parts of Saye's game, because she could have easily taken the emotion out on Cedric, but she kind of like convinced Cedric somehow to keep her. But it just is one of the first knucklehead moves by Cedric in the season where I just don't know what this guy's doing. And I don't like I think he should have probably voted Saye off and kept Justin in this vote.
Yeah, especially because he voted Saye twice. Like,
right.
Why are you keeping her in the game when you just tried to vote her off twice in one tribal council? Makes no sense. I feel so bad for Justin, and like, knowing, like, Justin has said, I believe, like, he fought more than what was shown on TV. Like, I'm believing that he probably did, and just like there was just nothing he could really do at this point. So I don't know.
Yeah, the edit kind of made him seem like he sort of gave in to the moment. But I mean, like, I feel like I relate very much to Justin, where it's like, I think when you're in a position where your logic makes sense, but somebody else it has nothing else to lose, and they're just going to say everything and anything to make sure that they stay in the game. I think Justin was just up against the wrong Scrappy player, and Cedric's just,
Cedric.
And there was something that I remember, I thought, where it was like Cedric was also, there was like a lot of like hunger, there was a lot of hunger that affected this season, that people just couldn't think straight as well as they wanted to, and like decisions were made that didn't make sense to the audience because they were just so starved. So that's a potential as well, where someone like Cedric, who is a very like older but what's the word I want? He's a thinker, and like, but when you're on an island for, at this point, what, 9 days at this point, and you haven't been eating, your brain just goes to mush, and like you're just making decisions that make sense in the moment, but they really don't.
You need sustenance to get those brain juices going, so you can make more concrete decisions, kind of thing. But I wonder if he ever went to Justin's restaurant afterwards.
I believe Justin has said Cedric did.
Oh, okay.
So
Cedric feels like he's an upstanding person. He's a man.
I will visit. Yeah. Hey, I like how that was funny. He's like, you two need to squash it. Justin, I'll see you later back at your restaurant. Bye. It was like, what? It was like, okay. Like, I was mad, man. I was like, what?
But like, to Mike's point, like, Saye's emotional response to Justin's logic response to the emotional response just kind of took it. So
and Cedric's a dad. Cedric's a dad, and he's a girl dad. So it's you know, there's that part too, that, you know, when emotions like that are involved, you know, his probably initial reaction was to just be protective, and Justin doesn't need protecting. And so that potential, and I don't want to speak for Cedric, but, you know, in that moment where you're just like, you see these pleading eyes, it's like all you want to do is help. And I could imagine that might have been what Cedric was thinking.
And I get, the thing I don't get though, Mike, is like, okay, so the first vote, he probably doesn't know Justin doesn't have a vote, so he thought that Saye was going on that first vote. If you're that willing to keep Saye, like, why don't you just vote Justin off on the second vote? You know, like, but hats off to Saye for saving herself in this travel.
Yeah, she deserves the credit, absolutely, for being able to convince Cedric here. Again, you know, I would love to see Justin get to play again. But yeah, we're excited. Also, Justin's going to be our next recap guest, so stay tuned for us to talk to Justin more about this, about 50. All right, then let's move on to the swap. So we get the new Vula tribe that goes again to tribal council, but with whole new tribe members. And this is where Kyle and Kamilla's game really shows like how good these two are together, where they're able to disguise that they're actually like super close allies, and they completely manipulate Thomas, Shauhin, and Joe. You have Shauhin going through Kyle's bag and not finding anything, but that's going to factor into later in the season. Yeah, I mean, what are your guys' thoughts on Kyle and Kamilla's just masterclass in how they play this round and idling out Thomas?
Unfortunate for Thomas.
Yes.
Of course. Like, it's the fact that we keep singing his praises and he gets voted out fourth in the game. Like, how like great of a character he was to potentially like come back later. But talking about like Kyle and Kamilla and this kind of being like the beginning phases of them utilizing their under the radar partnership was good. I mean, I think that was kind of what they both knew, like, hey, okay, like, we're together on this, and Camilla's more like that. I'm going to cut your throat and stab you in the back if I have my way about it. But Kyle's like, we're not dealing with those types of people this season. We're dealing with the honor and integrity bunch. And so we kind of have to go with the flow on this one and play into the narrative to keep our thing under the radar. And the fact that both of them together, I don't know how well the edit showed that, because I know they've mentioned later postseason that the edit was like, oh, like they didn't show everything, or they made Kamilla look like she wasn't doing anything, or whatever it was, but they talked about it more afterwards. But this being the beginning phases of that shows that they knew what the game or what was for this season, and they had their fingers on the pulse on what they needed to do to go forward, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Yeah. Mike.
They had a really fun comment at Tribal too. They're like, I get why we had to throw each other under the bus. They like really like kind of sold it.
They did.
This is just a great episode of Survivor, you know.
Yeah. I think like this 1-2 punch of 3 and 4 for this season it's a really good, couple of episodes, and obviously the big moment next episode. But Mike, your thoughts
Mhm.
on Kyle and Kamilla here?
Yeah, I think Thomas is a loss in the season, but I think it really does set up Kyle and Camilla's story and
Yes.
their arc going into the merge and going into the basically the winning edit. But I think it really, I think, and I agree that the edit doesn't give Kamilla as much credit as it should. I
Mhm.
do think that Kamilla is she's got this, like, I think it was Jonathan that said it, like her finger was on the pulse of like what was happening in the game, but it was Kyle that was doing a lot of like the broing out
Yeah.
with some of like the integrity of the game. And so I think, Kyle was kind of the face toward like the Joes, and like, making sure that, we're in with the people, and David, right? Like in with the people that are, front facing, honorable people. But Kamilla was really the one like making sure that all the numbers made sense. She was crunching the tribal councils in her brain. And you can't see that. Like that's all stuff that's internal anyway. So I don't know. I think Kamilla shined here without having to shine.
Absolutely. I mean, you can tell that from the fact that she manages to like make them think that they're not working together, so much so that they are cool with her sitting there while they look through Kyle's bag. Like,
Now, I wonder if instead of them coming to a swap tribe as a minority, they come as a majority, if they play as distant from one another throughout the game. Because it was kind of like a survival tactic that they were like, hey, this works, let's keep going with it.
right.
Yeah, just interested to get your guys' thoughts on that.
Yeah, I don't know, because like I definitely think that switches things up, because I wonder if they like come in with like David on like and they're in the majority. I mean, how does that play into it? I think if David's there with them, I think things are slightly different. I think they could still play it off, maybe if like they have Mitch there, for example, or maybe Chrissy, but like I think David is the one, to me, maybe Charity as well. Like they would be the ones that they probably couldn't have pulled this off with them there, but like, with Mitch and Chrissy, I think they probably still could have.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mike and Jonathan, any other thoughts on that?
No, not really. Like yeah.
No worries. All right. So, Thomas is gone, unfortunately, and we are going to get to the big moment that got Survivor 48 nominated for an Emmy, which is the Joe and Eva moment. I loved it at the time, and I still think it is great on a rewatch. I mean, this is just such a human moment, of someone really struggling, and someone like Joe just being there for Eva when she has her episode, as she calls it. And so, and doing like all the right things to calm her down. Like, I think this is a beautiful moment between the two of them, and like I think it just shows like how much like of a good guy in real life that Joe is.
And it definitely set up his reputation going forward into 50.
Yes.
Well, obviously
Yes.
we knew that him being like, him and Eva both had this moment in 48, which is a big emotional and powerful moment, which solidifies them even more as a duo in this season. But this also gives Joe, like, as we're watching this live, like, we're aware that 50s are right around the corner. 49 hasn't come out yet or anything about that. But like by the time we get to the end of the season, and then Joe and Eva are where they're at, and then it's like, well, of course Joe would get a spot. Like of course he would be that guy to go as far as he did and play his game, and it working for the most part this season for it to allow him to get a spot later on 50. So it was a big, powerful moment for both of them. And I feel like a necessary shot in the arm, if you could say, to kind of make 48 more unique in its way, because I know people complain about the new era or whatever, like, like it's all the same or nothing's different, but like 48 does stand out because of moments like this.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. Mike and Eric.
We get Jeff's first emotional, like actual, like genuine tears on screen, and he allows it to air. I think that's kind of what's really fun to watch too, is like Jeff is a human being. Jeff is not a robot. Jeff is not Jeff. And so I thought that was kind of a nice moment too, that adds on to all of this, is that Jeff is there experiencing it all with them as well. And so, yeah, he's tough on them. Yeah, he plays it up for the camera. Yeah, there's all this like, pop and circumstance to the game. But at the end of the day, they're all people. They're all human beings. This was a touching human moment. It also showed that the game was beyond the game for Joe. This was not, like, yes, I want to play this game and I want to show what I can do. But like, that is a human being over there and somebody that needs me right now. And that was more important to him than the game or the optics of the game. And I thought that was just such a fun moment for him. And makes me a Joe fan. I don't usually like those kinds of players in Survivor, which is surprising. Like, Colby is not my favorite. Loving him this season though. But I think that Joe really like won me over as like I'm a strategist. I'm somebody that loves the gameplay, but this was a moment that will always be part of Survivor now, and I loved it.
Right. Very much so.
Yeah, it put a tear in my eye the first time I watched it, and the rewatch got me again. So yeah, what a great moment. Sometimes things are bigger than the game, and I think it was kind of like everyone's attitude towards the game the rest of the way, is a lot of people didn't take it personally. It's like they're bigger things than this game. But it's cool to see these moments, and especially, like Mike said, to have Jeff kind of break out of his shell for a bit is nice to see as well. So I love it.
Yeah, and I feel like it's also interesting because at this point, Eva and Joe can't hide it like Kyle and Kamilla are hiding it. It's something that is very, very public, and they're also able to use that to their advantage, and nobody is able to break them up, which I know there's probably something that can be said about that later of why people didn't take the shot at Joe and Eva, knowing they were a very public duo. But I think that they made the right bonds as well to be able to keep themselves safe. So.
I love the dichotomy of those two story arcs playing out as we were kind of moving and shifting into the merge. You got the secret duo and the public duo, and like which one is going to win out, which one's going to be the duo that survives. So that was kind of a fun, nice little dynamic going on.
Yeah, absolutely. Then we right before this Earn the Merge, we get Bianca telling Cedric that she lost her vote, and then Cedric's once again going to vote the person out that lost their vote. So poor Bianca, it's a 2-1-1-1 vote, which is pretty, or 2-1-1, sorry, because Bianca didn't have a vote. So, but still pretty crazy that it's that divided of a vote here.
It's funny.
I hated this whole moment because Cedric thinks he's learned a lesson, and he's honestly like destroyed any chance he's got to win this game. Yeah. Because every time somebody comes to him with information now, they're going to be like, no, I don't trust Cedric. Like, I'm going to tell him something in confidence, and he's going to blow up my game.
Yeah.
Right.
I did feel
not
like
only.
Yeah. Oh, you go, Eric.
I was going to say, not only that, but like Bianca can get you to Joe and Shauhin and Eva and all the other players that were on that original tribe. And yeah, Cedric just being Cedric. Again, don't know what he's doing in this game.
He needed allies, and he cut somebody who was trying to be his ally. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Cedric. I don't know. Like, I feel bad again. Cedric seems like a very great human being. I just don't think he's a very good Survivor player. So,
I will tell you, losing Thomas and Bianca on back-to-back episodes is a little soul-crushing. I think that we lose a lot of the really kind of players that would have spiced it up a little bit in the merge before we got there, unfortunately.
Yeah. I also love with Thomas and Bianca that like Bianca confides in him that she lost her out, and Thomas is like, well, I'm not going to tell her that I lost mine. Even though they're like number ones.
I like Thomas's reaction to her after like, so she goes back and tells like a lie that she didn't have to like give up her vote, and then like she tells Thomas, and he's like, "Ooh, I believe that." Like, I just love this reaction to her storytelling. I just thought it was great TV.
Yeah, they were a fun duo. Again, it'd be fun to get them back on another season, even together. Just because I think they'd be fun to watch together.
It's like we got screwed and now we're back.
Yeah.
Again.
All right, we get to earn the merge, and this is where everybody's gonna turn on Charity and Saye, basically, because we've seen that Saye rubs everybody the wrong way, and Charity does the same because she's been like actively pushing different people's names. And we haven't talked enough about David, or at all about David, because David's the one that really pushes Charity out. Because that Siva tribe comes into the merge here with all 6 members still intact, and they immediately start turning on each other. So yeah, I don't know, like Charity, it was pretty clear that she was going to be like the first boot off that original tribe, though, regardless.
Yeah.
I believe this is the first time we hear about the Strong Five.
Yes,
yeah.
The honor and integrity Strong Five,
the big guys.
Honor and integrity, air quotes. That's what I'm calling it.
Yeah, this is I understand the rationale for someone like David is like, the strong guys are tired of getting taken out right at the merge, or like, every single time because the weak players might want to take them out. I don't know. We've seen that play out in different seasons. That was literally Coach that did that in token teams of like
Tony and Winners of War.
Yeah, exactly. Lions and hyenas. Yeah.
Right.
So I don't know. I just find David funny in this season. Like, I mean, you already have the milk situation. We will get to his stand-up moment later on. And yeah, I mean, there's probably plenty more David moments you guys could bring up as well.
So the Strong Five is Joe, Shauhin, Kyle, Eva, and Dave.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, Camilla's left out of this because, again, they're the secret duo. So Kyle makes it very clear that Camilla's not in with him, but is constantly going and telling Kamilla everything about the Big Guys Alliance, this Strong Five. And I think that's what really puts Kamilla on a different tier of gameplay, is because she knew everything that was going on without being part of the actual alliance.
Yeah, I think like this is another big part of Kyle and Camilla's game here. And obviously, David is eventually going to try to turn on Kamilla. Poor sweet David, as Kevin and I called him watching live. Poor sweet David. Yeah,
Jake, before we get to it, we forgot to say that Star gave Eva the idol. Yeah.
Yes,
Star it's a big thing.
Yeah, it is a big thing. So thank you for bringing that up. It is a big thing. I mean, what are your guys' thoughts on Star ending up giving Eva this? I mean, it is after like this big moment with Eva and Joe. I think Eva clearly did make social bonds, even though like she wasn't working with Star at all on original Loggies. So like it is interesting that Eva has built these social bonds just enough to be able to get someone to give them their idol that they've been trying to search for like the first like 10 days. So yeah,
I think it just goes to Star's personality. I think it shows kind of that Star maybe wasn't like a game player and wasn't necessarily there to, I mean, she was there to win, right? But she's not there to do the backstabbing. She's not there to do the scheming. She's there to have fun and enjoy the experience.
Right.
And I think that the relationship between Eva and Star was really confusing to me. But I think Star really is there to be present, if that makes sense to anybody. Right. But she's just there, and I think that's okay, and that was her game. And I think it might have annoyed a lot of people that are Survivor, strategy forward type people. And Star might have been kind of like a nuisance in the grand scheme of the story of the game. but I think Star brought a presence to the game that was very unique, and it was a joy to watch. I think like she was super fun.
Yeah, I love Star. We will get to her some moments for her in a little bit, luckily. All right, so then we are going to end up losing Saye and Cedric in a double boot round. We also get David doing this at the challenge.
Oh, so annoying. I hated that so much. Hated that.
It was literally the moment. That was the moment where I was like, "Oh, I don't like David." Like,
I don't like David either, Mike. I don't.
like I
He
was
could have
liking
broken
David
a
until that
record.
point.
He could have broken a record, but he was dicking around, and then he fucking like it was just that, but also like he annoyed the hell out of me the entire time. I'm gonna be that guy. I'm sorry, guy. He annoyed the hell out of me the whole season, and then the fact that he could have gone in the Hall of Fame of like men winning individual, certainly winning individual immunities for a certain category. He could have won out, but he chose to mess around, think about milk too much, and then he just messed up. And then he does, and then he continues. I can't with David. And then he does his dumb stand-up thing, and I'm like, sit your ass down, dude. Like, just like this is ridiculous. Like, I can't. I'm sorry. That was my rant. I had to get it out. There's no way I could not get like.
So I'll just speak. So like as a gay man, David was supposed to be my crush. David was supposed to be the one that I'm like, ooh, he's the one that I would just like cuddle up with if I was on the island with him, and like we would have this straight bromance, and it would be so amazing. And then that moment just completely, I was like, ick. Like, no, like you are not what I thought you were gonna be. You would not cuddle with me. This would not be fun.
Mike, does
no,
it have
David-
anything to
David-
do with the 4 nipples?
I-
Okay.
honestly, no. It's more about the milk. Like I feel like I couldn't curl up with somebody that drank that much milk.
He did have an interesting quote earlier on where he was like, you can tell a lot about someone by knowing 3 different things, like what car they drive, what's their favorite movie, and how they like take their steak. And I was like, well, like what does that mean? Like, it's like what are you gonna figure out about someone like that? But then he was also like a stunt man or something like that. So like I'm thinking like acting with his character, and so it's like he's performing.
Yeah.
Like, he's performing. That's why it's annoying the hell out of me.
Yeah.
Is, like this whole honor and integrity thing. It's like it felt like it's forced honor and integrity with a lot of the players, where it doesn't come off like naturally.
Right.
Whereas in other seasons, you can kind of tell like with characters who actually are leaning towards that way, but it hits differently because, again, if they're like the only hero in a sea of villains, then you want the hero to win because you don't want but if all you have is like a sea of heroes versus one villain, then it feels weird. And I think that was my kind of like weird take getting into this later half portion of 48 was like, like this honor and integrity thing doesn't really feel like it's genuinely honor and integrity. And that's why Kyle and Kamilla were like the underlining duo. And that's why I think Kyle ends up being like such a great winner, is because he knows, I feel like they both Kamilla too. They both see this. I feel like they both see what's going on, and they know what they need to do to counteract and go around that for both their individual games to get as far as they did in the game. That was my kind of like take about as we're going forward into this like post-merge honor and integrity theme for the season.
Yeah.
I think when heroism becomes performative, it becomes villainry, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's where Coach kind of set himself up early on in the story arc of Survivor, is that Coach was performative, but he didn't see himself as performative. The dilemma, though, is that Coach is what he perceives, like he is what he presents himself to be. And so as we've seen Coach progress throughout the story of Survivor, we've learned that Coach is actually more of a hero than we've ever given him credit for. Whereas I think David is like, I'm Hercules because I have big muscles and I drink milk. And like, I think that the dilemma with David is that it was 1000% performative. And it was that from the moment he stepped on the island.
Yeah.
It's like being a true hero or being truly confident is a lot more quiet than people think it is.
Mm.
I think especially after the challenge that David lost, he just was so set on Kamilla, right?
Yeah.
And he was going to everyone in the strong five, and this is important for the strong five, but he just like didn't have the awareness to say like, I'm getting enough resistance from my tribe that this may make sense for me in my head for myself, but it doesn't make sense for everyone else.
Right.
And he should have been able to pivot, because I think had he pivoted, um, there's a chance that he could have survived a little bit longer in this game.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I agree.
Mhm.
I think with David, it was always about getting screen time and not
Yeah.
actually playing the game. Screen time, to quote my friend Ryan Neoway. So
I mean, he had a little strategy to it. He wanted to get Mary into the
right.
6. Like, he had kind of a plan on how he wanted to kind of get himself further along in this game.
Hmm.
But I think all the rest of the players were a little too smart to let that happen.
Yeah.
Well, and I think what also, just to go back to like Chrissy's moment too, right?
Mhm.
And
Yes.
and this is my interpretation of Chrissy's end game, is that Chrissy looked at like, we were on a tribe together, and you're taking me out because I'm not a strong player. So like, why is it honor integrity because you guys are strong muscle boys,
Yeah.
as opposed to the fact that I've been with you and on your tribe since day one, and
Right.
somehow I'm the one that's not honorable and I'm the one that has to go home? That doesn't make sense to me. And I think
Yeah.
Chrissy just didn't articulate it as well as she maybe could have. I
No.
mean, she's been on an island for how long, and like, again,
Yeah.
brain mush. But like, I think Chrissy hit the nail on the head, and like, it really did open up the conversation about, hey, David, like, just because you're honorable and showing integrity to other people that you think are honorable, doesn't necessarily mean you are honorable, because you're screwing me over, who's been with you since day one.
Yeah. And that was like when Chrissy went out. I think I just looked it up. That was like day 15. But that's a good, like, I like what you said, Mike, about how we talking about honor and integrity, and this is like the season of it, whether it's performative or it's like, that's what to me 48 kind of ended up being, was like, how do you define honor and integrity? Like, because this is the season where, like, in the case is, if you have big muscles, that's honor and integrity. Whereas, like, that's not how Survivor has usually defined it in the past. It's usually been about like one lone player against all odds, trying to protect their alliance members who may or may not have big muscles or whatever, or they're standing up for somebody when they know that their life in the game is on the line, kind of thing. It's not about like being with the popular kids. That's not what honor and integrity is. It's about having honor and integrity is being in this position where you could very most likely get axed out of the game when you're not protected. And we see when David is on the line, when he's dicking around and he's no longer safe, we see how quickly that changes, and he's scrambling on the beach to get something going with people.
Yeah.
So, like, he's going up to Joe, right? And then he's like, "You gave me your word, right? You gave me your word." And Joe's like, "What the fuck are you talking about, dude?"
Telling Joe he lied, which is not the thing you want to do.
No.
No, that was you don't tell Joe that.
Yeah. I did want to say
I thought David had some momentum until that moment. Like, there was some momentum building, and then suddenly you just tell Joe that he's not an honorable person, and you just like completely ruined the whole game.
Yeah,
and David went to Kyle the next day, because Kyle had said the night before that the day just in general was really hard for him, and he wakes up in the morning and says, "Yeah, yesterday was really hard for me. The vote was hard for me." And David looks at him and is like, "Well, it shouldn't have been." And it's like, have a touch of empathy, be there for your alliance member. And he would just always combat his own alliance members with his own rhetoric, and it's just this the reason he ends up getting it.
Yeah. I did want to touch on Chrissy as well with with what you guys brought up. I also find it's interesting. We usually see the mom figure make it really far in the season. They usually make it to the end, and then they don't get any respect. So I thought it was, at least kind of refreshing to have Chrissy like call this out and like, you know, not necessarily be like the other mother figures have been on the show in a very long time. So
I think she reminded me a little bit of Janet, and I love talking about Janet.
Yes, Janet's amazing.
But she reminded me a little bit of Janet in kind of her last couple of episodes, because there is this kind of like motherly like need to like protect people, but there was also this like, I'm gonna call it out and say what I need to say, and like let them decide if they're like on you know the side of what I'm speaking toward. And I think with Chrissy, I think the dilemma is that she was going up against people who really saw themselves as the Goliaths and as the people running the game, whereas Chrissy didn't have the that Janet had, right? Like the people that were willing to like kind of, you know, surround her with what Janet was trying to do in the game. I felt like Chrissy could have easily done that had she not started on the tribe that she was on. I think having David as somebody that she probably thought was going to be a shield for her moving into the merge, and then for David to kind of turn on the weak players. And I put that in quotes because I don't think any of them were actually weak players. I think that was David's perspective. And so Chrissy then, you know, has to kind of stand up for that group and speak up for that group, and nobody else was really willing to do that. And I think that unfortunately was Chrissy's downfall.
Was it for her vote, was that like a unanimous vote that they were already going to do, like going in was like, oh, we were going to like unanimously vote for Chrissy? Or was that something, do you think, that was just flipped right then and there at tribal council?
I think they were probably already leaning that way at that way.
Kyle does a really impressive job though before this vote to kind of steer it off of Kamilla.
Yes.
Like and David, this is like, I guess we don't get it because the edit kind of sees us always seeing Kamilla and Kyle communicating with one another. Like it baffles David and Mary. He's like, he sits there and says, it just doesn't make any sense why he wants to save her so much. And it's like, they must be working together. I just thought Kyle, the way he handled this, I think is one of the bigger moves post-merge. Because Kamilla was definitely in danger, and he needed her later on in the season. And kind of how he kind of persuaded Joe and Shauhin to kind of go after Chrissy instead of Kamilla, I thought was really well done.
I agree completely. Like the fact, like I love the moment of him like trying to continually like stand up for Kamilla to David without like actually revealing his alliance to her. And like I love that moment because he really does a good job. So so yeah, we're gonna lose Chrissy. I did want to bring up, of course, we start Survivor 48 the musical because this is where we get Samina Waka.
Waka.
So this is a very musical season. Starts with Shauhin here. So
I love Shauhin. We're not talking enough about him. I'm sorry, Shauhin. I was in love with him throughout this entire season, and I just realized I have not really talked much about him.
We haven't.
Just fun, engaging to watch, strategic. Definitely was like, I think, blocked by some of the more like honorable gameplay that potentially was happening, and he just felt like he couldn't make those moves that he wanted to make. And I so much respect for Shauhin.
I love Shauhin. He reminds me of how I want to play the game, where he could be funny and entertaining and take over a room, but at the same time he could be very strategic and understand where the game's at. Absolutely love Shauhin, and he's exactly the person you think he is when you meet him. He's awesome. And I did sing with Shauhin when I met him. And it was a blast. I asked him if we were starting a band.
Hell yeah.
It's gonna be Chicken and Waffles. That's the band title.
Oh yeah, we'll get there very shortly. Let's get to our David blindside here, because this is where we are going to lose David. Everybody is going to turn on him. Besides Star and Mary, right? So they vote for Mitch. Poor Mitch here, but obviously this is going to lead to a bigger thing of everybody complained this season because Mitch won't make a move. Give Mitch that finger wagging gif
We haven't been talking about Mitch either.
We have not.
No.
I did want to say
He's another good one.
Mitch, like him being out there is just inspiring, and I've also met Mitch last year. Eric, I'm sure you did as well. Like, Mitch is a really cool guy in real life as well. And like it's very inspiring for him to be out there. And you know, be a challenge beast, and you know, I do think, of course, that should he have made a move at a certain point, I'm sure we can pinpoint the exact vote. I think it's probably at the Mary vote that he definitely should have done something.
Yeah, but it really seemed in his head like it was the vote after that he wanted to make the move at 6.
Right.
So I'd love to actually figure out what Mitch's idea of what his move was supposed to be.
Yeah. What do you guys think?
I don't got anything at the moment.
Yeah.
This was probably one of my favorite episodes of the season. Only because it was really just like watching David's downfall was just so satisfying.
Oh yeah.
And I think really just his whole demeanor throughout the entire episode was so gag worthy that it was like, I just don't know like where you think you are right now, but like you are at the bottom and you don't even recognize it.
Yeah.
So it was kind of fun to watch his whole like fall from grace.
Yeah, and his like performances don't stop even after he's gone. And
No.
He does have his confessional where he's like, "Hey, sometimes we're heroes, sometimes we're villains, and sometimes we're blah, da, 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 da." And I'm like, dude, like, just I can't right now.
He refused to be a side character in somebody else's story, and he didn't realize that he was always the side character.
Yeah, like the fact that like, man, I'm sure we'll get to it when he like stands up.
Yeah, we will absolutely.
Like, basically, like trolling everyone, and I'm like, dude, sit your ass down. Like I was like, it's like I felt like I was like, you cannot go like 5 seconds without being the center of attention.
He looked like a bouncer at a nightclub. That I'm like, I don't even know what you're doing. You're puffing your chest. There was just this like icky masculinity to him.
Yeah,
that was so ridiculous because everything was about like. He was like a crybaby, and I'm sorry if you watch this and like I mean to you, but like you were a crybaby and then you puff your chest and you look like this like tough. You're not like it. Just like it was so performative, and he even admits it in the end. Like he says that it was performative, but like was that because the jury told him that like, dude, like chill out?
Yeah, like
Mike, do you think he's a crybaby because of how much milk he drinks?
I mean, maybe. I mean, when I don't know. Yeah, I do.
A gallon a day is excessive. I like milk. Trust me, I like milk, but a gallon a day is excessive.
I mean, we're not meant to drink that much cow's milk. Like, we're not meant to drink that much. But
straight
whatever.
from the udder.
That's a whole other podcast.
Yeah,
that's a whole other show.
That's the milk podcast that David can start.
That's the milkman.
No, I just thought him standing up at the Mary tribal, he just looks like a goon. Anyway.
Who was it?
The best part about it is Star behind him.
Yeah.
What? Like sitting behind him going like, what are you doing? Like
oh boy. All right. Well, guys, it's time for the best moment of the season. Everybody repeat after me. Fried chicken and waffles. Fried chicken.
Fried chicken and waffles.
Fried chicken and waffles.
Fried chicken and waffles.
Everyone's favorite moment.
Oh my god. Well, this gives Jeff the confidence for what just happened in 50 this past week. So.
Oh my god. What a perfect time to be talking about this.
Yeah.
I messaged Shauhin on Instagram and asked him if he thinks he inspired Jeff to rap.
I have no words. Yeah, that was a low
so
point.
Funny because it's just out of nowhere. Jeff just picks this reward to start like singing about and getting them to all join him in talking about fried chicken and waffles.
I'm like, I don't think I could have done it. Well, I probably would have been voted out if I didn't do it. I probably would have like, this guy did what's wrong? You don't like chicken and waffles? And I'm like, I would like, can we just do the challenge, please? Like,
I also wonder if it's really just that Joe and Eva moment has broken him, and he's now just going on this whole other path of like, who am I? I'm Jeff Probst, but like, who is Jeff Probst? And so
Who
we're
is
just gonna
Jeffrey?
play with this and see what happens. So I'm gonna start singing at reward challenges. I'm gonna start rapping at reward challenges. Go for it, Jeff. You do you.
Oh,
I think the new era broke Jeff is what happened, because I think
Yeah.
Jeff's lost his marbles since 41. So.
he's eating Twizzlers at Tribal Council, and he's
Yeah.
just like, this is great. I'm having a great time. Like,
He's
Mhm.
his identity's
I mean,
off.
who
People
wouldn't?
call him Mr. Jeff. People call him Uncle Jeff.
someone still needs to call him Papa Jeff. Like, we're just waiting on that. Like, it's gonna happen in 51. Like, it's gonna be a
Listen.
new era. But anyways,
God
chicken
help
and
us all.
waffles.
Yeah. Chicken
We
and
all love
waffles,
it. We all like it.
happens.
It's
Yeah.
great.
Then we get we talked about Mitch not making a move, but this is one where he could, but obviously Star voted him last round.
How painful was his confessionals though? Because he keeps talking about wanting to make the move,
Yeah.
what to do about the move, which move should he make, like, and then he just like flops it. And I love Mitch. I love you, Mitch. But it was just like this moment of like, yes, he's gonna do it. Yeah. And then it's like, oh no. No.
No.
Oh, Mitch. But again, brain mush, no food. Like you're not really thinking as straight as maybe you want to. And like it also comes into like, I think of like Sophie B. You have these moments where like you can make these big moves and change the game, but like you also are very comfortable with where you are in the game. And like, does that then get you to where you need to be despite making the big move? So I don't know, like it's very possible that Mitch made the right move that he thought for himself in the moment. And we're Monday morning quarterbacks, and that's just the way it played out.
Yeah.
I don't think the fringe of the players that he would have had to utilize to make the move is exactly the best roster to do so either.
Right.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Although Kamilla maybe, like, I think the dilemma is that Kamilla is the right person, but
Yeah.
Mitch may not have perceived it that way.
Right.
And that shows how much of a stranglehold that like Joe and Eva had as like this frontal duo that would not budge whatsoever, that you have to like play around, but you still have this other under the cover duo of Kyle and Kamilla that like know this and are playing into it, but Camilla's not getting like we mentioned the edit before, like she didn't exactly get the best edit to where like she did everything, where because it's Kyle's win, so they're gonna make Kyle look like he was the one doing everything. But again, it's just like that's another thing that we've talked a lot about with this season, is like a lot of players that would have been better under different circumstances if there wasn't this nucleus of a duo in the center that you cannot play with, or you have to play around, which is something that people have mentioned with Joe in 50. Whereas like when you deal with players that like the best case scenario is that you are a duo, an unmovable duo that people can't play with, but they can't get rid of you. They have to play around you. Whereas like later on, it can be a detriment if you have enough people that do not want to play with someone that they cannot move at all. But like in this situation, it's like I'm looking at who's left in the game, and it's like, like we keep saying like, oh, they should have made a move, or they should have done like they probably couldn't. I'm going to assume that playing Survivor in Fiji is hard. Wild guess. That's my shot in the dark right there, right? I'm going to assume that it's hard. And it's probably even harder when you feel like you can't get any traction with people that are just so ingrained with each other in their relationships. So hard season to play around if you're someone like Mitch or Kamilla.
I think it's almost like a perfect storm on why this season ended up playing out this way. One, like a lot of the kind of spicier strategic players got voted out pre-merge. Saye, Thomas, Bianca, Charity probably put in there. And then like Eva gets an idol.
Cedric.
Eva then is the person that finds the advantage to
the safety without power.
Get the safety without power, and then she's the one that wins the bow reward to get Knowledge's power. Like anyone else wins Knowledge's power in this game, everyone knew Eva had the idol. Like
Right,
it
'cause she
just
told
kind of
everybody.
unfortunately fell like all of the advantages were going to Eva,
Yeah.
who was not going to
Mhm.
utilize them in any sort of way. And you
Yeah.
get stuck
Not
with
need
this.
to utilize them.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think with Eva, like, I think because she told everybody and like everybody knew it was something that they could play around and they wouldn't need to necessarily worry about. I think that's why part of the reason why they also don't make a move there. So,
Mhm.
Mhm.
so I mean, in a way, it's good job on Eva for doing that, but also, yeah, stifles the rest of the game, unfortunately. And then, of course, we have our big star moment.
Short,
My
shitty
enemies are
star
plotting. I love Star so much. Like, this is just such a good like way for her character to leave. To get that her enemies are plotting. So I just wish she got way more airtime because we've gotten to know her over the past year. Had her on a recap last year for 49 and met her at Celebrity Weekend, and she is just fantastic.
Yeah,
Mhm.
she's absolutely wonderful. She is such so fun to be around, and yeah, I couldn't say nicer things about Star.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think it's just it's a moment of like realization of like even if you're not like the biggest strategic player out there, you're still a threat for so many different reasons. Star was so likable that
Yeah.
I think it was going to be really hard to if you're going to sit close to the end with her and she gets there, like she gets everybody laughing, she gets everybody, she's maybe not going to win, but she's definitely not going to lose. Like
Right.
it's just I don't know, it's Star becomes a big threat by not being a big threat, if that makes any
Right.
sense.
Yeah.
Like it was just so much fun to see like, wow, she does need to go here because nobody else has a shot at,
Right.
at getting to the end if Star makes it further.
Right. Completely agree. Then we already talked about David standing up with the Mary vote. Mary goes. I mean, she does like basically eat all the rest of the coconuts, which pisses off Joe and Eva, but
Yeah, and I think it was suggested that like Mary was suggesting that her, Mitch, Kyle, and Kamilla make a move against Joe or Shauhin. I guess like this is where that why didn't Mitch make a move kind of
Yeah.
starts, you know,
Yeah.
in the round before when Star was still in the game.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think this is an opportune moment, especially since like the fact that that there's 7 people here and it's a 6-1 vote against Mary. Like when it's a unanimous vote, especially this late in the game, I think that's bad for somebody. So
Yeah. It means like you could come up with like the greatest plan in the world, but like if other people already have plans and you're not a part of it, then like, you know, what are you gonna do about it too?
right.
Plus eating
Well, I
all the
think-
coconuts doesn't help either.
And like when you have a target early on in the game, like Shauhin became kind of a lot of people's target. Like he's strategic, he's likable, he's definitely somebody we need to take out at some point. And when you're actively talking about that player as a target, don't wait until someone else can claim that move to make the move. And I think that's what really damaged Mitch's game, unfortunately, is that Mitch had clocked very early on like who he needed to take out. It's just he didn't do it. He didn't make the move. He didn't, and we didn't see maybe some of what Mitch was doing in the background. But I think what the edit is showing us is that it took until Kyle wanted Shauhin out for Shauhin to go, and so unfortunately, Mitch kind of loses that steam. Even though Mitch is part of the plan, it's not Mitch's plan anymore.
Yeah, agreed.
Why do you guys think they? It seemed like even from like the Cedric and Saye vote, you know, Shaheen's name was coming around a bunch, almost every tribal. I was curious to get your guys' thoughts on like why he was being targeted more so than Joe was actually being targeted.
I think part of it was like he showed he was a strategic player, and I think like the news of him going through Kyle's bag went around. I think that is the biggest reason why, to me, and that's something that Kyle will use
Mhm.
against Shauhin this next episode to blindside him. So,
Mhm.
Well, and I
um,
think Shauhin was doing a really good job of playing all sides of the merge. And I think people were recognizing that, but he's likable. So like you want to work with him, but you also realize that like he might not be somebody that's going to stick with me. So I need to just keep an eye on him. And I think people had their eye on him. And that's how Shauhin gets far enough into the game. Because nobody's really willing to take him out because he is considered an ally to most of the players in the game.
Mhm.
Right.
yeah,
And he's likable, and that
True.
has to
So
be
likable.
yeah,
right. And like, if you're on an island with a bunch of people, you know, like get rid of David before you get rid of Shauhin.
right,
Please.
exactly.
Yes.
Yes.
Let's get to. I believe this was the last episode, also shown before 50 of like the top 10 episodes. Icarus time. This is the Shauhin blindside episode. And this is where Kyle and Kamilla really have this great plan that they're gonna get Joe and Eva to blindside Shauhin. Just the way they pull this off is so masterful, and like basically making it so that Joe won't just like go fact check with Shauhin, like because they're like, oh yeah, you know, Shauhin went and told Kamilla, and Kamilla confirms it, so that they think that they don't need to go back and fact check. Like, I think this is just such great gameplay. What are your guys' thoughts?
I think Shauhin potentially could win the game if he doesn't go here.
Right.
And so I think it is such a smart move for Kyle and Kamilla. And I think just the way they're able to, and Joe talks a lot about it in 50,
Yes.
the way they're able to manipulate Joe specifically and Eva, but like Joe specifically, to turn somebody who's like all about honor and integrity on one of his other closest allies, I think it's a masterful move.
Mhm.
Yeah.
How they edited this episode too is
Yes.
very enjoyable. Just like little things like Shauhin explaining the conversation with everyone in the tribe in the same spot in the tent, and then like later on a tribal Joe like looking at Shauhin,
I love
whether
that.
it's telling the truth or not. Like whoever really like was editing this episode did a great job, and it was really entertaining. Probably one of the best episodes of the season, if not the best. So
Yeah, when they're editing or they like mute like Kyle and Shauhin's audios like to match Joe like looking around, like it's so good. Jonathan, any thoughts on the Shauhin blindside here?
Obviously it was a big moment. When I think about Shauhin, I guess I kind of think about how like he I wonder what he would do in a different season. That's my whole thing. I keep thinking about him is like he did obviously the best he could with this, but he's not. I don't get the impression that honor and integrity is the first route that he is going to go down.
No,
playing Survivor, and it's like I don't get that vibe from him at all. I mean, he can sing about chicken and waffles all he wants, but I'm like, dude, I'm not getting honor and integrity from you. I feel like you were forced to go to play around honor and integrity. But I want to see him in a different. I feel like he's meant for more. I feel like he's meant to play a different kind of game, or like the game that he actually wants to play. But he did.
I don't think he does as well as he did though, because I think people are very quick to see the social threats and the strategic threats like early on in these new era seasons. And I think the reason why Shauhin wasn't clocked was because of the honor and integrity of Joe, Eva, David, and this idea that like we're gonna lock in with people, and Shauhin locked in with that, thinking that he was going to be able to play it out at merge and like be able to do these kind of more creative moves. But because of Joe and Eva locking in with Shauhin, I think that's what gets Shauhin kind of further into the game. Whereas if you have a bunch of players that are all also being strategic and whatnot, I don't know if Shauhin does as well. I mean, it's very possible he does, and I would love to see that happen. But I think people clock him a lot earlier, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I think he's a little bit of a social chameleon. And so that's why it kind of adapted to the way that Joe and Eva were playing. But in a way, Joe and Eva, that duo of them two, kind of protected Shauhin for a while in this game. So I agree with you. I think like if Shaheen's left to his own devices, unfortunately, I think he's going to get noticed a lot earlier because he's that good socially. He's charming. He's fun to be around, and he's strategic. And he's certainly someone that if they get to the end, they're going to win it. So yeah, Mike, I think you're right on that.
He needs the duo to be the big shield for him moving
Right.
into the end game.
Right. Yeah, and I think it's interesting knowing he was almost on 46 as well. Like, how does
Wow.
he do in that train wreck season with that train wreck cast? Like, I'm not even sure that Shauhin like makes it that far in that season under those circumstances, because I think that those players are way too messy for him.
Mm-hmm.
They clock
It
him.
would have been so fun to see him get to the verge with Thomas.
Yes,
It just would have
yeah.
been it's so much fun.
Yeah.
The California girls. He needed the California girls. So.
Yeah. And I think he was closer to Thomas than Joe, but yeah.
I agree completely. All right, we get to our finale, and Kamilla is going to win her second individual immunity necklace, and then we get, unfortunately, Mitch is basically told that they can't let him get to the end because he's too likable, and so this is the very sad, but everybody knew Mitch was probably going here, but very sad vote off of Mitch. I thought Mitch was a very nice character. I remember watching it live with my parents, and my dad was like, Mitch just seems like a very nice guy. So I think that came through on the TV screen even. So
for sure.
And I think
I think it
four
was
that
like-
voted him. Go ahead.
No, you go.
you
I was going to say the four that voted him out, like Mitch was like a viable threat. He has a good story. People liked him. And he's socially good. So like, it makes sense why they do what they do here at 5. But yeah, I think on the island, he was a very viable threat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think for me, this was probably one of the saddest like finale votes that I've watched. Like, not sad as in like, ooh, boo-hoo, I'm crying, but like sad as in like Mitch was such an iconic nice guy that like he gets to the 5 and you never expect, like, based on what we saw, you don't expect him to get there, and then he's there and you're like, oh my god, he's there, like he's there, and then he just gets voted off, and it's like so like it was almost like anticlimactic for me. Like he was like the last underdog, and he was the one that like you really are trying to like root for and like you want to see be successful, and you just have this kind of like, I don't know, it just felt like a kind of like a send off for him, but he got to 5. I think that's super impressive. I'm still sitting on my couch, so good job, Mitch. So I don't know, it was sad, but not sad like cry sad, but like sad like, oh, I wanted more from that. But yeah, he 5th place. Good job, Mitch. Amazing game.
Yeah, agreed. So Mitch is gone, and we're gonna get to the final 4, and this is where Kamilla and Kyle know that they need to take the other one out, and Kamilla goes to Kyle is like, hey, this is the moment where we need to do that. And I mean, Eric, I know that you brought it up to me
yesterday.
Yeah. So like, just about what happens if they don't turn on each other, or if Kamilla doesn't go to Kyle and be like, we have to turn on each other. I mean, what happens in that scenario?
I think Kyle takes her to the end. And
Mm-hmm.
and I think this is the conversation you have after the challenge. Why are you having it before the challenge?
Yeah.
At least the edit showed it that way, but like, no need to have this conversation before the challenge. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I agree. It's a bad move from Kamilla at the end game, when the rest of her game with Kyle, like, it's both been pretty much spot on perfect of exactly what they've needed to do, and she screws up here. So,
and I think it explains why Kyle won this game when you hear how he responds to Kamilla saying that to him.
Yeah.
He's like, I get it. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And how he could, how he received that information,
Right. He doesn't argue it. He just responds pretty calmly, and yeah. So we're gonna get to that final challenge Samotion as per tradition of Survivor New Era. And Kyle wins, and he takes Joe with him to the finale or the final tribal council. And we're gonna get another Joe and Eva moment. Obviously, you know, Eva's struggling to make fire, so Joe almost volunteers to, you know, go in place of her. And I love this moment from Eva of being like, no, I have to do this to prove to myself. And like, you're not going to, you know, take my place. I'm gonna do this. Like, I love that moment of, well, as like Eva has shown, like she wants to do this on her own. She doesn't just want to, you know, have Joe take care of her here. Like, I think that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, I think like, even from the grand scheme of things, like as a person, like I want to do it myself. Thanks. Like,
yes.
Great. The other thing too is that if she does let Joe do that, it tanks her game.
Right.
Like there's not even a shot that a jury is going to vote for her if she lets Joe go into fire, whether
Right.
Joe loses or wins.
Right.
Like, honestly, I think it tanks both their games,
Yeah.
even though like it already tanked their games. You know, Kyle wins anyway. But like, if Joe goes in and Joe beats Kamilla, I think Kyle wins almost by a landslide at that point.
Yes, I agree. I think it might be a unanimous vote for Kyle at that point. So
yeah, I think people are going to be very icked out by that. Even though it's a sweet gesture, it's like this awesome like end moment of like Joe gets to like save her one last time. But like, I think it ends up like, I don't think David's gonna like that. I don't think Shauhin's gonna like that. I don't think there's gonna be a lot of people that are gonna like root for that.
Yeah.
And it's funny how like we end up with, you know, Jonathan was talking about honor and integrity. This is more of a season of like loyalty, and these two power couples at the end, you know, and Kyle and Kamilla had that conversation about voting one another off because they have similar stories. And it's kind of funny how the other two have similar stories too, and how it affects them. Like, it kind of, they didn't think it out as much as Kyle and Kamilla, and that's kind of what gets them at the end.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get to final tribal council after Eva beats Kamilla, knocks Kamilla out of the game. We will talk about Kamilla more in our Fallen Angel rankings. But we're gonna get to final tribal, and I don't think Joe gives a good final tribal at all. Eva gives a pretty solid one, honestly, but Kyle gives the best one, obviously, and really sells his game. And he wins 5-2-1 over Eva and Joe. And I mean, I'm sure we'll talk more about Kyle's win here in the rankings, but I just even before 50 came on and like we saw what happened to Kyle in 50, I still thought Kyle was the best New Era winner. And like, especially after 50 now, knowing what happens, I think his game goes up even more, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Any other thoughts before we get to the rankings?
I will definitely say I do think he's one of the best players of the New Era. Arguably up there with being the best, behind or with a couple other people. But like you said, we were talking about 50 and how like if you're tuning in and you're watching 50 live, everyone knows what happens to Kyle so far in the season. But again, I think you're right, Jake, in the sense like that. What we were able to see, what little of him of 50 does raise his stock in 48 with how good he was. Like, I think even though him and Kamilla were working together, and they don't really give like necessarily the best edit around Kamilla, but Kamilla is saying like she was the brains and like, you know, making decisions or whatever. But Kyle was the one that was in. Like, he was the one that was always in, no matter what. But he also, I felt like, had his hand on the pulse of the game too. I think he knew, like, he knew the honor integrity thing, and he knew like what the attitude was around camp, and he definitely played into it. So I think he definitely deserves a lot more credit. And I think he is getting a lot more credit now, because at the time I think people were saying like, oh, like, you know, I don't know. I don't want to say like, oh, like it was Kamilla doing everything, but like I think Kyle was actually doing more as well compared to Kamilla, because Kamilla didn't have those relationships just because of the circumstance of the season, because it was honor integrity. But Kyle fit more into that. But I think his performance on 50, or what we saw from him socially on 50, does definitely up his winner percentage for 48. And I think it validates it a lot more that he actually was not like being led along, and he was just this charismatic guy that ended up being winning. No, he was charismatic and he knew what he was doing the whole time, like in 48 of itself. So
Right.
Yeah, I say the same thing. I think what was interesting about watching it at the time is you see this kind of dynamic duo who, one's strengths is the other one's weakness, and so they're able to kind of bond together and work that to their advantage. And I think that was great, but they both did that. I don't think it was just, one person putting the better foot forward. And I think 50 really does show that, is that Kyle was able to make the right connections, make the right bonds. He starts off really strong in season 50, and that proves why he was such a solid winner and a solid player in 48.
Agreed. Eric, any final thoughts before we hit rankings?
Yeah, I think this is why I enjoy the season, because I think Kyle is a very satisfying winner. And on the rewatch, you a lot of the strategy there is strategy in this season. It just is a lot more subtle because literally Eva has all the advantages. Like after Kyle plays with Immunity Idol, like Eva has everything. So the strategic moves have to be more subtle, and they can't be as flashy because Eva has everything else. So no, I enjoyed the rewatch, and I think the cast is great.
Yeah. All right, let's hit the rankings. All right, first boots, we'd be talking about Stephanie Berger. I don't think she cracks this top 10.
I think this is it.
Yeah, this is
it. Well, maybe until we get to 50, but we'll talk about that.
Yeah, we will. All right. Then Fallen Angels. Kamilla's the one here we can talk about adding. I mean, Kamilla played a great game. I mean, clearly she was so well liked by the jury, and she played such a good game that they said like she would have been a slam dunk winner even over Kyle. Like, I think Kamilla's game is really good. The question is it good enough to land in this top 10? And we would have to boot out Sarah Lucina's winners at War Game. So
this is such a tough group of people.
Yeah.
It's a really good list.
Yeah, it is.
I think it's so hard because I even said, I was like, oh, I'm definitely going to fight for her for Fallen Angel, but it's hard. I mean, Sarah Lucina's Winners at War game was more aggressive, I felt, than Kamilla's was. And I think for that reason, I can't vote to break Kamilla in, but definitely top 15 for me, maybe.
I agree with that. But Eric, Jonathan, any thoughts there?
Go ahead.
I was like, I'll agree with Mike. It's kind of ironic that Kamilla and Sarah both went out at fire making too. So it's just like the whole situation with them like being like, I don't think that's a tough list. I think that list is pretty set in stone. I might change. I probably would have changed a little bit of it, but like other than that, I don't think anybody's left. Well, maybe with the next season, but I can't see. No, I don't. There's just I'm gonna go with my gut and say no. I think this is it.
Yeah,
this is it.
Eric.
Yeah, I as much as I really loved Kamilla's game in 48, it's Sarah Lucina. If she wins fire making, she probably wins that season.
Yeah.
And I don't know necessarily if Kamilla wins fire making in this season, she would have beaten Kyle or Joe. So for that, I think I'd leave her just outside of the top 10.
Yeah, they claim she would have, but again, that's after the fact, so we don't actually know.
The only reason I would say I like Kamilla over Sarah is because Kamilla had more of the underdog edit than Sarah would have had in Winners at War, right? But I think because of Sarah's bond with Tony and the aggressive nature in which both of them played, I just don't think it's fair to give Kamilla over Sarah, just in my own opinion.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. Kamilla's great though. Love her, met her in person as well. So, and I'm excited to continue watching her on 50. All right, losing finalists, Joe and Eva. I also just don't think they crack the top 10. I mean, I think they did have a stranglehold of some sort on the game. I just don't think like they actually had as much win equity. Since I think they do probably lose to any of the final 5, final 6, probably. So I mean, Shauhin, Mitch, Kamilla, Kyle, I think all beat them. So
I second that.
Yeah.
These are both very good lists for 48 seasons into this, you know?
yeah, I know.
These lists are all-star list. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's really, I think it's hard because with New Era being I mean, I wouldn't say a different game, but a slightly different game than what some of the earlier players had to play. I think it's hard to really say like, oh, you know, with Joe and his like honorable game, right, that it would break, you know, Amanda. You know, Amanda's game is very different than Joe or Eva's, and so I don't know. And if Joe and Eva are both not in the end together, it potentially changes a little bit of the strength of their finalist position. But with them both there, I don't know.
Yeah. Plus, Amanda is just so iconic. Like, are you kidding me? I'm
actually shocked she's not there in 50.
That's a testament to her losing finalists. like the fact that.
But I also think the fun of Amanda is also watching her debate every episode, like what she's gonna do, because everything is so stressful to her, and it's fun to watch.
That's the fun part with Amanda.
You can also put Amanda there for 15. That's crazy.
Yeah, that is actually funny. All right, winners. So Kyle, Fraser. So I want to make the argument to put Kyle in over Boston Rob, just because I think,
you know what,
the great mark of a Survivor player is if you can play from both the top and the bottom. And Kyle,
you're just trying to get onto Kristen's good side.
Like, you know what, Jake? I agree with you. Let's take Boston Rob off that list.
I also am in favor of this because I think I fought to get rid of Boston Rob the last time I was on this podcast. So I'm 100% with it.
I'm not a Boston Rob fan, and that was a layup in 22, and it was his 4th season.
Hey,
give it to Kyle.
Listen, one person, it took him 4 times to win a game, and that last season was manufactured, and this other person did it in one go. So I'm gonna
congratulations.
I mean, listen,
congratulations, Kyle.
Boston Rob, thank you for being like an icon of Survivor. But when you play 5 times and 3 of which you don't make the merge, I'm sorry, or make the jury. Well, he made the jury in Winners at War, but that was by fluke. So I don't know.
Yeah, that was literally the edge of extinction. So
Island of the Islands doesn't count. He's a coach. Whatever. Playing. I will give him credit in the sense that he's been all over the board of like in the game, like mergatory, runner-up, pre-merge, you know, finally jury after like 19 years or something like that. And it's like insane, which was a good jury.
And he became like the spokesperson for the jury, which I don't know, that bothered me, but it is what it is. You can't have Survivor without Boston Rob. I get it.
I have like my little Boston stress ball. I like it. Just he serves different purposes.
All right, seasons. I don't think 48 is gonna crack this. Like I don't think it's as bad as some people say 48 is. I think it's probably a middle of the road season for me, because I do like the characters and everything, but I just don't think it can crack Cook Islands. Like that would it would have to knock out Cook Islands to even be on the list. So
Cook Islands is so good. People dogged on it back in 2006, but it's amazing.
Yeah.
I feel like there's only one.
Oh, God.
I feel like there's only one season left on our list that could potentially get into this.
Yeah,
it's 50, but 50 would
have to say it's 50, right?
Yeah, because it's 50. Like no, I think it's 49 and a half.
Oh my God.
But but I really think like it's just this is a tough list to go about, and I think like the only other season that has a chance of getting in here would be 50, but 50 would have to like ramp it up for the rest of the season to get in there. But yes, so
Yeah, Eric, what were we gonna say?
Definite
I
potential.
was going to say, where do you think 48 ranks in New Era seasons?
I did this because Lindsay asked me the other day. I think I had it 6th out of 9 so far. Like I don't dislike it by any means. I think again I enjoy the characters. I think the other 5 probably had slightly better gameplay is why I put them higher, but I think it's better than 44. I think it's better than 41, and I think it's better than 46.
Mm.
I don't want to
Mike?
make the podcast go any longer. No, I
Okay.
feel like it's higher because
continue.
it's a satisfying winner. It's a satisfying final 5. It's a
Mhm.
satisfying finale. There's a lot of satisfying vote outs in the merge. I don't know. Like I feel, and the pre-merge I think was really epic.
Yeah, I will say.
I don't
yes.
know. I think it's higher, but maybe I'm just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
There's some
I
other
think-
seasons that just are meh for me.
Yeah. I think because it's so
49's meh for me.
Yeah, same. I think because 48 is still kind of like fresh in the
Mhm.
zeitgeist. I feel like we need time away from 48 to go back and like
Yeah.
maybe it'll be like a Marquesas situation where Marquesas
Maybe.
actually ages like fine wine, but like everybody dogged on it at the time. But
Right.
like, it's just one of those things like when we have perspective, maybe we can go back.
Sepia, can we bring her back?
Yeah.
I wish.
Mike. He's like,
I love
Um,
the sepia.
Yeah, I love this cast. Like, like Mike said, like there's not a whole lot of bad things about it. Yeah, it's not as maybe strategic the way you would want it to be, but like I like the cast. It's great episodes, and it has a great winner. So like,
yeah.
what more can you ask for?
What more
Right.
can you ask for?
What more do you
Right.
need? Chicken
Right.
and waffles, that's what we need.
Yes, more fried chicken and waffles, yeah. But it does not crack the top 10. So there are the rankings. All right, favorite male and female. I want to give honorable mentions to Star and Justin, but that's also like personal relationship with them. But I will give it to Kyle and Kamilla. I just think they're a great duo. Joe and Eva would have been honorable mentions as well. But yeah, Kyle and Kamilla just owned this season, and I think they deserve to be my favorite players.
Mhm.
Jonathan.
Kyle, Kamilla. End. Period. Done. I don't need it. I don't need any other explanation.
Mike.
David. No, I'm just kidding.
The milkman himself.
I think it's hard because like I think Kyle and Kamilla are phenomenal. I love them. I love that they're back for 50. Were they my favorites? No. I think Shauhin was a phenomenal, fun player to watch because he was fun. He gave the stories. He was a great narrator. He was a great player. He socialized. He just did the things. So I think I have to give it to Shauhin, even though Kyle is a very satisfying winner. I put that in asterisks, right?
Mhm.
But Shauhin, I think, is still my favorite of the season. But female is Kamilla. I love Kamilla. I think she is such a fun person to watch. She's got that kind of like underdog vibe to her that it's just hard to not love. Eva, definitely a close second. Just her whole story arc and like watching her just be able to be her own on the island was just so much fun to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. Eric.
It was the person I always knew that I would get along with the best in real life. My favorite male player is Shauhin. I think I wish I would have gotten to see him like spread his wings a little bit more. He just kind of got a little unlucky. And female player is Eva. Her story the whole season kind of goes from top to bottom, and yeah, I think it puts a nice warm feeling on this season, and yeah, so
Yeah,
Eva kicked ass.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. All right, last question to wrap this season up. How did this season contribute to the evolution of Survivor as we know it?
Good question.
Yeah.
I don't
think
I.
it-
Oh well, Mike. Oh,
Mike,
Sorry.
you want to go?
I think
Mike.
it proved that honor and integrity
Mhm.
can work. I'm trying to choose my words carefully because I think there's people that are gonna argue this very, very toothily. But I do think that honor and integrity can work in a game like Survivor. And I think the fact that both Joe and Eva make it to the end, make it to the final three, kind of proves that there's this other thing above Survivor that just is so much fun to watch, and it keeps bringing us back, season after season. I think Jeff even said it, and I hate to sound like Jeff, but like, it is the people that we're watching, and Eva and Joe just prove that a good story, a good connection in the game is just fun to watch play out as the season moves forward. So really just brings us back to the storytelling of Survivor, and reminds us of like why we keep watching the show. But I also think just like really seeing the honor and integrity play almost as its own character, like it brings back the Coach era, it brings back that, and now seeing like Joe and Coach and Colby all on a season together. Really just seeing that as like a story arc throughout Survivor that I think has been kind of brushed off because of the nature of the game, and people tend to look at it as more of hypocrisy, whereas I don't think Joe was ever hypocritical. I don't think Joe ever did anything that in his grand scope of what the game looked like to him, I don't think he ever did anything that was hypocritical, and he made it to the end. He may have gotten third place, but he got there, and had he been able to articulate a little bit better, I think he might have had a better shot.
Agreed. Jonathan?
Yeah, I'll just echo a lot of what Mike said, and in the sense of like how 48 was, I know, I feel like I need distance and time away from it to go back to 48 to see if I actually really appreciate it, because I wasn't exactly the biggest fan of it afterwards, because I just felt like a lot of this honor and integrity thing was forced, and it felt fake to me. It felt like it wasn't a genuine thing, which in and of itself in the season makes you question, like, what is it in Survivor nowadays? Like, how do you even define that? Like, is it back in the older seasons, we had a clear definition of what it was supposed to be or what people thought it was. But then I feel like in this season, it redefined how, like, let's take that theme that's so big and so important to other people's characters and actually like figure out what it means. And it's shown through duo relationships like with Joe and Eva, or through Kyle and Kamilla, and how honor and integrity means two different things to two different groups of people. One of it is loyalty, which I know we did talk about. Loyalty as like, it's not really about honor and integrity, it's about loyalty, and you can still be like whatever and have that sense when you're playing the game. And I think there was something else as well, but I think to me the 48 sort of challenges like it challenges the definition of honor integrity and like what it means and how it has shaped Survivor, because it's been pretty much voided all the way up to this point. I don't remember a season before this that was really this heavy centric. I don't think there was ever a season of Survivor that was this heavy centric on like everybody here's honor and integrity. When does that happen? It's usually just one or two people. That's my big takeaway from 48.
Yeah, it's a good takeaway. Eric?
I think for me, 48 kind of it makes me realize that in a nutshell, not every season's going to be a progression of the game. That a group of people can sometimes devolve the game to an older version of it, just because of the types of people that are in the game, and it's not necessarily always going to be the same thing. This has a lot of reminiscences of old school Survivor. A lot of people just kind of sticking together, and not a whole lot of advantages being used, and but at the same time, there's like a fresh new aspect of how the honor and integrity is viewed now versus how it would have been viewed, say, 15 years ago. So yeah.
All good points. I would say 48 kind of showed that more human side of Survivor again. I mean, just like the Joe and Eva moment and everything. Just we've never quite seen that level of it before. Obviously, we've seen many other human moments and things that happen in the real world that come into the game. But I think this was just in those kind of got darker, and this is like something that was actually like just something positive and like as a human moment. So I would say that, and then yeah, the honor and integrity piece, for sure. So,
And Jeff isn't a robot.
yes, and Jeff isn't a robot. Yes,
We've
Yeah.
learned Jeff is not a robot.
and
But
we
he is
added
a
Survivor
rapper.
music.
But he is a rapper.
Yes, plenty of Survivor music to enter in.
We're gonna have Survivor the album coming out soon.
Oh my
yes,
God.
yes.
Survivor.
All right.
Alphabet.
So, with that, we have one season left in this rewatch. This has been a crazy year-long experience. And what better way to finish it off? Well, until 50 finishes, but what better way to finish off the rewatch than by talking about the man, the myth, the legend,
No.
I see.
G.O.D.
Riz
God, baby.
baby.
He's not my
I think I would love him as a person. I just like watching him was so cringe, but whatever. It's fine.
Well,
worry.
Eric, Jonathan, and I will get to sing his praises in the next episode. We'll talk about Savannah. We'll talk about a lot of the other characters from 49.
Juwan.
Yes, Jawan,
Sophie and
Sage, Sophie, Blurty.
So
And yeah, so join us next week to hear us talk about Survivor 49, and we'll see you all next time on the Tribe of Nerds.